Blake Lively can forget about packing her bags for New Orleans this weekend. Well, I guess
she can go.
She can still go to the Super Bowl.
She's just not going to get the best suite, that's for sure.
She will not be in Taylor Swift's suite because their friendship is in a, I don't even know if it's right to call it a friendship anymore.
You could call it kaput.
On live here to let you know in case you missed it. Obviously yesterday I teased that there's a lot of evidence here that Blake Lively and Taylor Swift were very, very close at the time that all this went down with Justin Baldoni. Beyond the text message, a lot of things they were doing was very Taylor Swifty, dropping the Easter egg. So we dedicated our whole episode to that, and I gave you the timeline of her breakup with Joe Alwyn. By the way, if you guys, for the few of you who are not following the story and don't know why this is a big deal, it's because it's the Me Too movement. I have 3 sons. It matters. So this morning, wake up, Taylor Swift's marketing team has inserted into the Daily Mail top headline that her and Blake Lively are no longer friends and that she feels used and she doesn't want to be pulled into this lawsuit.
Hollywood's golden girl Blake Lively is officially in crisis mode, and this time, it's not a PR stunt, it's the real deal. The walls are closing in on her, and all of her carefully curated lies are finally coming to light. The betrayal, the manipulation, the messy details, it's all out there. And guess who wants nothing to do with her anymore? Taylor Swift. For years, Blake and Taylor paraded around as besties, posing for adorable photos, going on vacations, and making the world believe they had the strongest friendship in Hollywood. But now, that friendship is hanging by a thread, if not completely dead. With all of Blake's dirty laundry being aired, Taylor has taken a massive step back, and fans are starting to notice.
Blake Lively is in the legal battle of her life where half the public's on her side and half the public thinks she's the new Amber Heard, but to make things weirder, she's being warned by Taylor Swift. And Blake Lively had one of the most profitable movies of 2024 doing the movie It Ends With Us, which made $351 million on a budget of $25 million with Justin Baldoni, who was the director. The issue is Blake Lively had a terrible relationship with Justin Baldoni on set and refused all contact with him after they finished filming. And for a while, the public did side with Justin Baldoni and hated Blake Lively with a resurfaced interview of her criticizing reporters' weight from years ago. It was claimed the reason they had a feud was because Blake Lively was upset that Justin Baldoni asked her about her weight because there was a scene he had to pick her up and he does have a serious back problem. Now things have hit a collision course with Blake Lively suing Justin Baldoni for he sued her back for defamation at a claim of $250 million. Where Taylor Swift gets in the mix here is Justin Baldoni hired a PR firm run by Scooter Braun, who's Justin Bieber's former manager. Taylor Swift doesn't like Scooter Braun because he bought the rights to her music without giving her a chance to bid on it. And Taylor Swift accused Scooter Braun of doing a smear campaign against her and also releasing Kanye West. Taylor Swift warned Blake Lively that Scooter Braun's going to try to destroy her, and with
Blake Lively can forget about packing her bags for New Orleans this weekend. Well, I guess
she can go.
She can still go to the Super Bowl.
She's just not going to get the best suite, that's for sure.
She will not be in Taylor Swift's suite because their friendship is in a, I don't even know if it's right to call it a friendship anymore.
You could call it kaput.
Yeah.
At least from one side.
Yeah, what's interesting about this is that Blake is at least making it seem like they're good. And as we broke the story yesterday.
Cry and make up.
Yes, that was Blake's response to the story we told you yesterday that about the fact that Taylor is really ticked off that she's been dragged into this battle with Justin Baldoni.
And used by Blake.
Because Blake made it seem like Taylor showed up at this meeting to support her and to pressure Justin Baldoni to
when Taylor says,
changes.
When we're told Taylor says she had no idea Justin was even there. She was just showing up because Blake invited her, and she shows up and Blake's there, and Justin's there, and all she says to him is, "Oh, I really excited to see your movie," and he leaves, and that was it. And she makes it look like that she's a secret weapon behind all of this.
Right, and now Taylor is staring down the fact that perhaps if this thing actually does go forward, if the lawsuit goes forward,
she's
she'll
going to
be
be deposed. Yeah.
So Taylor definitely, the way it was described to us, this friendship is fractured to say the least. And a year ago at the Super Bowl, Blake Lively was there right next to her BFF.
Yep.
Celebrating, and we're told that is not going to happen this year.
I think one of the things that triggered all of this for us to put this story up yesterday is this podcast we're doing called Two Angry Men. I do it with Mark Garrigus. Brian Friedman, Justin's lawyer, came on, and I was asking him about whether he was going to depose Taylor. And if you read between the lines, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And I think that ding, 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 it went off. Oh my God, this is how far she's brought me.
This is how far. Now I have to end up sitting for a deposition.
And maybe taking the stand if it ever ends up in court, which I don't think it's going to be.
Does Taylor Swift now have bad blood with Blake Lively? TMZ has learned that Taylor Swift feels she was used by Blake Lively in her war against Justin Baldoni, and she resents Blake calling her one of her dragons and leveraging her name. As we reported, there was a critical meeting at Blake and Ryan Reynolds' New York City penthouse with Justin to discuss a scene that Blake had rewritten for It Ends With Us. Justin has said that the meeting got super heated and he felt ambushed because Ryan and Taylor showed up. But a well-connected source close to Taylor tells TMZ Taylor came to Blake's apartment at the time Blake told her to, not knowing anyone else would be there. In other words, Taylor had no idea there was a meeting going on with Justin. The source goes on to say, Justin was about to leave after the 2-hour meeting as Taylor walked in, and she was introduced to him for the first and only time. We're told all Taylor said to Justin was how excited she was to see the movie because he was her friend's boss. Our source says Taylor believes Blake timed her meeting with Justin so Taylor would arrive before he left, and she's baffled by Blake later characterizing her as her dragon. The source adds, "It's weird to say that about a friend." Remember, Blake texted Justin after the meeting, referring to herself as Khaleesi from Game of Thrones and Taylor and Ryan as her protective dragons. And there's more. The source says Taylor is also learning Blake has been inappropriately leveraging her name for a long time, like telling a young actress that Taylor cast her, which simply did not happen. TMZ dropped a new podcast Wednesday called Two Angry Men, in which Harvey asked Justin's lawyer, Brian Friedman, about subpoenaing Taylor for a deposition. Definitely check in to see what he says. This is a huge falling out, because remember, Taylor is the godmother to Blake and Ryan's kids.
Taylor Swift is doubling down, saying she is not involved in the making of It Ends With Us at all, but this interview from Justin Baldoni may indeed prove otherwise. Now, yesterday I did a video on how Taylor Swift, or a source of Taylor Swift, Blake has been leveraging her name for a long time, including telling the young Lily that Taylor Swift cast her, which is simply not true according to Taylor Swift's source. According to the young Lily interview, she thinks Taylor Swift helped cast her, and according to Justin Baldoni's interview I'm about to show you, he also says that Taylor had a part in casting the young Lily. And this interview was way before any of this lawsuit came about. Listen to this.
And this was her first film.
She told me Taylor Swift helped her get the role, like signed off on her audition.
I had brought in, I was casting, and I had actually brought in and showed her casting tape to Blake and Taylor, and they were both like, yes, her. And that's a true story.
Taylor Swift may be one of the most powerful celebrities on the planet, but even that couldn't save her from what happened at the Super Bowl. Cameras panned to her, and instead of cheers and admiration, the entire stadium erupted into boos. The moment instantly went viral, leaving people wondering, why is everyone turning against Taylor?
Global pop star Taylor Swift receiving a not-so-warm welcome at last night's Super Bowl. Swift trying to shake it off, as many in a crowd of 65,000 people in the Superdome booed when she was put on the Jumbotron.
When they did show Taylor Swift, it was mostly boos, I would say.
A moment getting attention from everyone, including President Trump, who said the only one that had a tougher night than the Kansas City Chiefs was Taylor Swift on Truth Social.
The amount of booing in that stadium was absolutely horrid.
Swifties coming to her defense right away, showing their support at the game. Even Serena Williams tweeting, "I love you, Taylor Swift, don't listen to those boos." That treatment, not a new phenomenon for the celeb, as the NFL and its broadcasting partners have received backlash the last 2 seasons for showing too much of Taylor Swift, who's attended numerous games to cheer on her boyfriend, Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce.
I don't think that's based on her musical abilities or fans. I think it's more just Eagles fans are so passionate about their team, and she's aligned with the Chiefs, and anything Chiefs related Eagles fans were going to boo.
But this bad blood between Swift and Eagles fans might go deeper than a simple team rivalry. Growing up in Pennsylvania, Swift actually used to be an Eagles fan herself. Her dad, Scott Swift, also said to be a lifelong Eagles fan, but supporting her daughter's boyfriend, something that clearly didn't sit right with the passionate fans of Philadelphia, who are notorious for giving people a hard time, even booing Santa Claus in the 1960s.
They're one of the most passionate fan bases in the NFL, and I think it maybe borders a little bit on aggressive compared to other fan bases.
A potential end of the love story between Swift and Eagles fans.
She's in a relationship with one of their biggest stars, and Eagles fans are going to say, hey, you know what? You're part of the other team. We're going to let you hear it.
Jimmy Kimmel was very upset that Donald Trump took a shot at Taylor Swift. Trump was making fun of the fact that she got booed openly at the Super Bowl and he got cheered to the high heavens. And Jimmy Kimmel didn't much like that and had the following to say.
Trump was at the game. He got a big thrill because some of the crowd booed Taylor Swift when they put her up on the Jumbotron, which of course made Harry Conman Sr. very happy. He posted 3 times about this. After the game, he wrote, the only one that had a tougher night than the Chiefs was Taylor Swift. She got booed out of the stadium. MAGA is very unforgiving. Well, she didn't get booed out of the stadium. Unlike you, she stayed for the whole game. And it was the Eagles fans who were booing her. But you're right, it's all about you. It's always all. Trump's just jealous of Taylor Swift because she has more followers and more money and no kids than he does.
Okay. By the way, I was there all the way through and she was gone. She was missing in action for most of the second half. So I don't know what he's talking about. Trump left at his previously designated time, which was, I think, 8:02. That had been scheduled, and that is when he left. And it's a little harder, Jimmy, when you're the president of the United States, because if you leave when everybody else is leaving, you completely F them over because no one can move anywhere. It's total gridlock in the city. Hello?
Some claim the boos were politically motivated, stemming from Taylor's refusal to support Donald Trump. But others, they're convinced that Blake Lively's exposed lies are playing a big role in the hate against her. Taylor is known for standing by her friends, but when those friends get exposed for being manipulative liars, it makes her look just as bad. And the backlash isn't slowing down. More and more people are coming forward to expose Taylor, and the internet is eating it up.
The Swifties have not attacked me for this series. To the contrary, they have been emailing me. A woman emailed me and she said, Candace, I know this is really weird, but I so vividly remember all of these articles and images and videos of Taylor Swift hanging out with this New York Times reporter. She's like, and I can't find it anywhere. It's so weird. It's like her team has purged it from the internet. I'm like, okay, very interesting. I will find this. But it was indeed difficult to find this. We ended up finding it on a Russian search engine. Okay, on November 8th, 2024. Now we're fast forwarding into the timeline. He's saying a sweet goodnight to Taylor Swift just a month before the now infamous Blake Lively filing. Take a look and a listen.
Wait, excuse us.
Taylor, sleep tight.
Taylor, sleep tight. You will recall that I kept saying that someone like Blake Lively, this was my gut instinct, she could not have had the star power to get the New York Times to put their entire professional reputation on the line to smear someone like Justin Baldoni. They are just not in that camp of celebrities. They are not that high up of the celebrity food chain. The person that you just saw saying good night to or sleep tight to Taylor Swift is none other than Ronan Farrow. Why is that extremely significant, okay? He is, Ronan Farrow, without question, the father of the Me Too movement. The father of false allegations against men was insane. Men were losing everything overnight, and it was all because the New York Times wrote these explosive pieces, okay? But again, Ronan Farrow, what does he have to do with Blake Lively? What does he have to do with Justin Baldoni? Okay, well, he is arguably the most powerful journalist at the New York Times. You could say this, he's a Nepo baby, he's got deep connections to Hollywood. But the question here that you should be asking yourselves is, if Ronan Farrow was the father of the Me Too movement, who was the mother? Because he wasn't the only one credited with the launch of the movement. Take a look at who did. Here they are. The reporters who exposed Harvey Weinstein. In their new book, She Said, the Pulitzer Prize-winning reporters Jodi Kantor and Megan Twohey take readers inside the investigation that launched a movement. Jodi Kantor and Megan Twohey were the mothers of the Me Too movement, okay? And that woman on the right, Megan Twohey, is indeed the woman who wrote the takedown piece regarding Justin Baldoni. When you peel and you look beneath the layers of this onion, you will recognize that those three people, like I said, are like a hit squad.
So I went to the same high school as Taylor Swift. We grew up in the same town. And I haven't seen any of the people who go over conspiracy theories talk about this, which makes me think that people don't know that this happened. So I'll tell you. So in 2006, I'm a freshman in high school. Taylor is, I think, a junior. Teardrops on My Guitar had just come out, I think, over the summer. Obviously, she got really big, and that's the year that she left school. She was homeschooled in 2006. Something you need to know about Hendersonville High School when she first started becoming super successful is that most people hated her. Yeah. Keep in mind, these are her peers. You know, this isn't like just random people on the internet. She's literally like, 16, 17, leaving high school to pursue a career that people are telling her that she could never have, you know? Also, the guys she was writing these songs about, they were still in school, you know? They were still there. And now they have a hit song about them, talking about what a boyfriend they are, you know? There are a lot of rumors going around about how she got her start in the first place, and I don't really know. The fact remains is that there were not a lot of people at high school who had nice things to say about her. Fast forward, it's 2009, I'm a senior in high school. My senior class gets invited by Taylor Swift to the 2009 CMA Awards. So when we found out that we were going, we were all really excited. I mean, who gets invited by Taylor Swift to the CMAs? That's really cool. But it was very random. Like, we didn't know why Taylor Swift was inviting us to the CMAs. As we all know, 2009 is the year that she killed the game. Entertainer of the Year, Female Vocalist of the Year, Album of the Year, Music Video of the Year. Her performances were incredible. It's 2022. Taylor announces Midnights, right? It's gonna be released on Kim Kardashian's birthday. That's when I start realizing Taylor's a petty bitch. And then I start learning about all of the other petty things that Taylor has done over the years. Y'all, she invited us to the CMAs to say you. And we deserved it. So to Taylor, touche. That was a good one.
Remember I said that the tactic of Justin Baldoni's lawyers to include Taylor Swift in the lawsuit was nothing short of Machiavellian, because I knew that Taylor's name, her team would be like, we got a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, quote unquote, for me, and we don't want to be part of this at all. And now she is running for cover and leaving Blake for dead because they don't want any part of this. And that was a tactic. And I keep saying this is the craziest, by far, legal situation to ever hit the entertainment industry. The movie business has never experienced a lawsuit like this that has so many tentacles. It is crazy, and it is the around and find out endless lawsuit. That lawsuit is longer than January, which is 3 years old.
But Taylor isn't the only one under fire. Blake's reputation is getting absolutely shredded. If you thought this scandal was just about one set of leaked messages, think again. Blake Lively's bad behavior has been happening for years, and people are finally putting the pieces together. A tweet goes as follows: a little tea for your evening citizens. Today at Daily Mail, got an exclusive interview with Magnus Sundholm, the reporter who was offered gin as a marketing ploy while interviewing Lively, and he did not hold back. I found it sneaky, cheap, and disrespectful.
To your right. Over this way.
Oh, like that?
There you go.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. This is Magnus.
Magnus,
Yes.
when I saw you earlier, you said, oh, let me get a shot. And I thought you meant of alcohol, but you meant a photograph. So guess what? Time to put up.
And what are we drinking?
Aviation American Gin, who's
And-
owned by a very, very man, who also happens to be my husband.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. So let's see. Let's see what you think.
We're starting early.
Yeah, we are starting. What better time to start?
Cheers.
Cheers. How does the taste test happen?
It is good.
Oh, your voice went higher an octave. Just, come on, just shoot it. Just shoot it.
I'll be singing if I
would be so
finish
much more
this.
interesting. We just do like just straight shots.
But I hear you don't drink, right?
I don't drink. No, this is coffee. But it's
So-
in a martini glass. Isn't that classy? Actually, I don't even like coffee, but I drink it because I love the way they crush the beans and they talk about it and the story of the, the origin of them and the milk and the foaming it and all of that. And the same thing with alcohol. When I hear about, how this is distilled in Portland and how the reason this one is winning all the taste tests actually is because gin has a high juniper content, which is why a lot of people don't like gin. But this has no juniper and like all of that story I just love because I like storytelling. It's what I do for a living. And then, martinis are so I mean, that's why they're in this movie. It's just straight gin. It's not, there's nothing fancy to a martini, but the glass and the way you swirl it and you dump it and you twist the lemon and it's just like, oh, it's so So that's why. I think it's
Okay, Magnus.
Ja? Yes.
Ja, that's yes in Swedish.
Okay.
Yeah. What happened? I mean, you came in to do an interview and then she started trying to get you drunk, or what happened?
Oh God, I almost don't remember it, but
Because you got so drunk, or?
it was early in the morning.
Yeah.
What was the movie again?
A Simple Favor.
A Simple Favor. I can never remember the title, with Anna Kendrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of surreal in a bit because I was there to interview her and they had built a set a little bit and walked into that and was completely ambushed by her promoting her husband's gin, basically. So she hijacked the interview in a sense and took it was at least almost half of that interview to talk about this the product placement. Basically, that's what it was. It was a big product placement.
And you as a journalist, how does that make you feel when someone is trying to like push you? Because she was trying to promote the brand through you.
Obviously,
right?
yeah. I mean, it was a blatant promotional thing, but and I played along. So I could of course have objected, but my job is to sort of make the talent play along, or so or I have to make the talent. Yeah, and I want to be friendly, and I want to, I want her to open up and to be able to talk. So I played along. I drank gin at 10 in the morning. I would never do that, and yeah, I kind of felt like I had to. And
you look very uncomfortable there. I saw your facial expression.
You mean more than now?
Yeah. More than now. No, but you look like you were like suffering a little bit and you didn't know what to do. And she, as soon as she poured you that first martini or whatever, she started saying, shuck it, shut it down.
Yeah, finish it.
Yeah. And you were like,
Yeah, I mean, you come up there after having had your cereal and milk, and then all of a sudden you get gin served on the rocks.
Yeah, to do your job, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So of course it wasn't the best. I'm not saying I'm the victim, or of course I could have said no, but it was kind of weird. The whole setup was weird.
Yeah.
And
then she started talking, and you asked her about, she doesn't even drink, which is like.
Yeah, she wanted me to drink, but she doesn't drink herself. No. She doesn't drink coffee either, but she loves it too. It was just like.
And she spent a lot of time talking about how you create coffee with beans, and basically also to talk about how you create gin.
Yeah, I mean that felt like a whole spiel, like there was a whole setup to. She talked about how coffee is made, so she can talk about how gin is made.
Yeah.
And especially this gin that her husband owns and promotes.
Her husband, you mean?
Oh yeah, that's of course.
Yeah. So, what do you think about these celebrities promoting brands like this, especially in these interview settings? I think one thing is if you are on Instagram and you're showing off products that has your name on them or whatever, I think that's one thing. But another thing is if you sit and you invite a journalist to interview you about a movie, and then you sit and push alcohol brand on them.
Yeah, especially had it been. First of all, I wonder who her advisors are, because in most countries in the world you can't show that.
A second user wrote, "Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Blake Lively, the woman who considers calling leggings her." This is an ad from the official Betty Buzz YouTube channel, by the way. So I think as the CEO, she's proud of this blatant display of degrading objectification.
There's a reason all men love Betty Buzz. Because at Betty Buzz, we don't test on animals. We test on men. That's a good boy. Drink up. Let him know how good it is.
Bitty buzz. Blake Lively openly stated during a Simple Favor movie promo that studios wanted her to look, yet she never sued them for it or seemed offended in the least. But when Justin Baldoni described her character's outfit the same way, it suddenly became inappropriate workplace conduct and harassment. Added a third. It is becoming painfully clear that Blake's real issue was with creative control over the movie. Each of her allegations is falling short, and at this point, she looks like a complete lying hypocrite.
And I said, okay, I want her to wear menswear. And so initially the conversations were, okay, she wears menswear as a woman and like no shirt underneath and like how women do it. And we tried it, but I was like, I just think that it really just needs to be menswear. And I know that everybody, you know, the studio and whatnot, they want women to be so they were like, it's not gonna be if she's buttoned all the way up to her neck and bow ties. And we were like, just trust us, it's gonna be super hot. It's gonna be so and like not really fitted menswear, like just straight men's suits. And I think it's so fun. And then it evolves, and there's different things that she sort of does with it because she's so bold and daring, or like different surprises. Like I had this idea.
On a recent episode of The Megyn Kelly Show, Megyn did a deep dive into Blake's long history of ruthless, shady behavior. She exposed patterns of manipulation, deception, and a two-faced persona that Hollywood insiders have apparently known about for a while. And now, the public is catching on, and they are dragging Blake through the mud.
We got to spend a minute on Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, okay? I know the ruthless fellas have been all up in this business. And, I mean, no, but seriously, have you followed it at all?
A little bit. I mean, it's all over the tabloids, so you got to see it a little bit. I don't know if you're an expert,
over the tabloids.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so for those of you, just a quick two-liner for those of you not following it. They started this movie, It Ends With Us, about domestic violence. It was his movie that he bought the rights for from the woman who wrote the book, Colleen Hoover. Then he managed to convince Blake Lively to star in it with him, and all hell broke loose. She claims he harassed her, and then by the time they premiered the movie, they weren't even speaking to each other. She made him stay in the basement, and Ryan Reynolds turned on him too. And then she claimed that he unleashed a bad PR campaign against her. And he claims none of that is true. There was absolutely no those are made up claims. She wrested his movie away from him and decided to try to hurt him with petty, made up, out of context complaints when he pushed back even in the mildest way, and that she and her husband are bullies. And now it's resulted in vicious cross litigations against both of them. The New York Times is being sued for defamation by Baldoni through his lawyer, Brian Friedman, who's also my attorney, who's been on the show. And it's as vicious as it can get in Hollywood. My own position is she's absolutely ruined her brand. She has started a fight she cannot win. She does appear like an Amber Heard to me. I have yet to see one of her complaints borne out. In fact, all of the ones I've seen have been undermined by his hardcore proof in text messaging and so on that puts a totally different light on her horrific allegations. Then you see what she actually said and wrote. It's very different. She called herself Khaleesi and said Ryan Reynolds and we believe Taylor Swift were her dragons. And she's got the best dragons because they'll fight on behalf of her friends too. Now she and Taylor are reportedly on the outs because Taylor Swift is like, nobody's dragon. That's unconfirmed, but it's out there. And today we see some evidence now that Blake Lively may have a history of not being upfront when she gets cast in a movie of her secret desires to actually play a much bigger role than that of lead actress. Here she is at the 2022 Forbes Power Women's Summit.
I would show up on a set. I knew that they just wanted me to show up and look cute and stand on a little pink sticker where I'm supposed to go and say what I'm supposed to say. But I also knew that that wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character. And sometimes I had directors or producers or writers who would welcome that and invite that once they saw that I was able to offer that. And sometimes I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor. Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to feel fulfilled. So I think that for them, sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull because you're like, you're trying to assert yourself into something that we didn't hire you to do.
So she's
I mean,
a
they
serial
sound reasonable.
fraudster. That's called fraud. When you pretend you want to do the one thing and you'll do the thing they're hiring you for, but all along you have secret plans to do something very, very different that's above your pay grade. And she finally bumped into someone who was weak enough and not famous enough to stop her, right? This Justin Baldoni, most people had never even heard of him. He'd been in like one series. He certainly wasn't at Ryan Reynolds level fame, never mind Blake Lively. And she bullied him into giving her the movie where she did her own cut. They released the cut of the movie. He didn't even get to see it. He was the director of the film, the producer of the film, the guy who got the rights to the film, the one who's supposed to be in control. He didn't even get to see it. He was in the basement at his own movie premiere. And then she had the nerve, because she had like 2 minutes of bad publicity when the film hit, to come out and try to blame it all on him. None of it was just due to the fact that she seems like a rather shitty person. Your thoughts?
I mean, it's wild. She just pretty much said the whole problem here. It's like, if you hire the plumber and he climbs out from under the sink and says, "Now let's talk about how you've decorated the place." It's like, what are you talking about, man? I gave you a job.
How dare they hire an actor to act? You know,
Right.
Deal with a little
And
bit
she
of
tries
this
to make it
on
sound
set
like
here
a
at
female
Ruthless.
empowerment thing, you know, like they just wanted me to be an actor. Well, yes. I mean, maybe someday you could be a producer or a screenwriter, but no one contracted with you to do that here. And that's another allegation, Holmes, is that she started to rewrite scenes that nobody had asked her to rewrite.
That's just wild to me. I mean, that is, for the plumber thing, is absolutely perfect. I mean, you hired somebody to do a job and they're like, well, hold on a second. I've got a different vision for your toilet.
Amid all this chaos, Justin Baldoni has finally broken his silence. And let's just say, Blake is cooked. If she thought she could get away with sweeping this under the rug, she was dead wrong. Justin's comments only add fuel to the fire, and his revelations are making people question just how deep Blake's deception really goes.
We are going to move on. Yes, moving on to Justin Baldoni and some emotion, if not almost tears, if not full tears, while he is on a podcast called Gents Talk, talking about just getting very emotional and that he's having anxiety about having a really bad year. Here's what
we should say. This was done before Blake filed her lawsuit.
Right. Now, there had certainly been a lot of talk about the feud between himself and Blake.
It was very
when
public.
the movie came
Very
out.
public.
That was very public, but there were no lawsuits at this point when he recorded this. But here's what he said about this difficult year.
This morning, I sent a text message to my best friend Jamie and the president of my company, Tara. And I told them that I wasn't in the best place. I told them that I was exhausted, that I haven't given myself time to recover or time to heal. I had an intense year. A lot of material success and a lot of emotional stress. It's very hard on me and my family. And I wear a lot of hats and I carry a lot because I love what I do. I realize that I just haven't given myself the time to heal.
Yeah, I listened to this whole podcast, you guys. It was a lot. It was like very heavy. At the very end, he talks about how like the day and the topic is all about healing, which I thought was kind of interesting because obviously this took place months ago when all the drama had first unfolded between him and Blake. So you can see like he is in such a bad state. But another thing I quickly noticed too, you guys, was his tone. Remember we thought that voice note that he sent to Blake Lively was kind of like creepy because he's talking in this low, like crackly voice. Well, listening to this podcast, like that is exactly how he speaks. There was no difference there.
That's interesting. That's actually really, really interesting. That's
just the way he
speaks.
speaks.
The way he speaks.
I just think that's how he felt in November once all the lawsuits started. Imagine how he feels now.
Can Blake Lively survive the backlash? Or is this just the beginning of a massive downfall? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video, hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on any new videos. Until then, fam, keep it real.